Shazier here, and I want to clarify what we know right now, because what we heard earlier, it turns out now, never came directly from the doctors. There were reports, and I'm not going to get on the people who reported it because that's not my point. But there were multiple reports that Shazier had movement in his lower extremities, and that thank God he did, and that they were comparing it to what Tommy Maddox had. Well, it turns out Tommy Maddox was back in 2 weeks. This is not what he has. And now there has been no official word from the doctors, and now we find out through the Steelers that Shazier has had spinal stabilization surgery done, where they put these new materials. They used to use rods. Now they use this far more flexible material to stabilize the spine and deal with the discs. They said he had this spinal stabilization surgery. He was, the team of doctors included a neurosurgeon who is the foremost authority on this stuff in the world. But they have not made any statements official yet. Their official statements have made, despite the fact that multiple sources and multiple organizations reported that he had movement in his lower extremities, the hospital has not, nor have the Steelers, made one statement about his condition yet. So right now, we are not getting anything. And everyone's starting to feel now that it is quite ominous that we have not been given any more news than the fact that he had the spinal stabilization at this point. Now, just like those conclusions were jumped to early that he had movement in his legs, we don't know that he did or didn't, because the doctors have said nothing, the Steelers have said nothing, and the hospital has said nothing. Those early reports were not confirmed, and they were multiple. And like I said, I'm not trying to get on the guys who reported it, because that's not my point. The point is, though, that what sounded like really good news for him is now not sounding as good, because they have yet to tell us that he has his legs back in any official statement. And I just read the official statement from the Steelers and from the doctors, and they make no statement at all about his condition. They just tell you that he had the surgery and that he's resting comfortably. They did not make any statements. Now, there have been reports from NFL reporters stating that, thank God he had, feeling in his lower extremities, he moved his legs. We don't know that that's true now, because we have not gotten that from any official source. Remember, there are laws. They can't give out that information officially without the family's say-so and his say-so. And doctors can't comment about anything without being told they can comment. The Steelers have made no comments. The hospitals made no comments. The doctors have made no comments. So right now we are very much in the dark about where he is physically. We're hoping for the best, but I had thought that night, before I went to bed, there were reports that, thank God, it was considered to be very much along the line of what happened to Tommy Maddox. That was not the case. Tommy Maddox did not have surgery. And although we got reports that I read yesterday that said that he had movement, we did not have those reports from an official source. And there are reports just put out now by the Steelers and by the hospital make no statements. I just read them. Make no statements about his condition and about whether or not he has feeling in his legs. So now some people are starting to assume, and they shouldn't assume. They're starting to assume from that maybe this is much more ominous than we thought. Don't assume that either. I mean, let's just realize that they don't put out a lot of information with these situations and hope for the best. And hope that we're dealing with the fact that we're not dealing with any paralysis here. But we do not have any. Those early reports were hopeful, but they were also not official. So, and the official ones do not make any statements about his condition. Christian.